Tap it here.
Mhm. Okay, it says connected. Cool.
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 Good morning. And I think we're making everybody's connection. So yesterday, Kay and I talked to a new agent who is coming with us, and that was exciting.
It was.
And I think he's going to be a real plus for what we do and how we're doing it, and he is excited about it. And so along with that, we spent a good bit of time talking, and I try to read all the material that's coming through from Inman and some of the other things that are moving about related to business and what the process is and who's doing what. And I think it's always a challenge, but I think we're making some progress with it. And Kay, I know we talked somewhat about changes and some of the things we can do to make a difference in the agents who are planning or who have an approach to what they can do to make their business stronger.
Mhm.
So let's talk about that a few minutes and see kind of where we are and what the options are that you see for now and the future.
Well, I read two articles here in the last few days. One is from the NPR, and it talks about how they just focused on how the investors over the last year and a half have really perfected their skill of, turning potential home sellers, which would be clients for us as agents, into sellers for themselves. They've really been active in our market. As a matter of fact, the article specifically mentions Memphis and then some other areas. And it just kind of talked about how even investors are using technology to find the same pool of people that we as agents are looking for. And then Inman News has a really good article about what buyers agents need to do in order to retain their sense of importance to a client. One of the things it most specifically talks about is how you bring value. So there's this agent, he has a story that he writes about him having a friend, and the friend is going to go in, buy a new construction. The agent on the site where the new construction is, in the model home says, hey, you don't need an agent. I can help you through all of this. And I can definitely be fair and unbiased. That's what the client felt. So the agent who's writing the article explains, he goes into really good detail about the benefits of being a buyer's agent and what a buyer's agent is supposed to do. I noticed in our .loop files, for example, that a lot of us don't use that working with real estate agent. We don't really have that in there for our clients to sign. But I think that sheet gives a really good synopsis of what a real estate agent is supposed to do for the client. So I think we should learn some of those things, if not all of them, and be focused on putting that in our presentations when we meet with the buyer or seller. I look at working with buyers is sort of, especially, I just set an appointment. Like I don't, when a buyer calls on the phone, I'm not asking a bunch of questions about their pre-approval or financial status and things like that. I know there are some agents out there that have been in the business a long time that works for them, and that's how they feel, but I feel different. My goal is to get in front of you because I know that once I'm face to face with you, we can have more of a human connection, and you can see the genuineness in my desire to be of assistance. I can explain better, and I think people hear better when you can tell them the benefits of working with them face to face versus over the phone. You get distracted, people talk to you, you know what I mean? It's just not as deep of a connection that you can make.
So you have found it.
I just set an appointment. A buyer calls me, I'm not gonna keep you on the phone 10 minutes trying to figure out what, who your lender is and all of that. I do know that, and studies show that, especially when you're talking to young buyers, they're definitely qualified, a lot of them, to purchase homes. They just don't know what to do. So when you get to asking them all these complicated questions about well, it's not even complicated, but just questions about pre-approvals and lenders and over the phone, that gets to be too much. So I think we lose a lot of business just we turn people off with those kinds of personal questions, and they just want to see a house. You know what I mean? So I think we should feel that need first and then talk to them next about the benefits that they would get from working with us. We shouldn't make the next portion of the conversation how much are they being approved for? Are they working with the lender? And I think you can have all that stuff ironed out in one meeting. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You can either put them with a lender that you know. If they know a lender already, you can urge them to get the ball rolling. If you know what's going on in your market, everybody should know that if a house is priced right and it's in good condition, it's not going to sit in certain neighborhoods for a long time. Everybody should know that. That's regardless of what the market is doing as a whole.
So you have found it appropriate, and it works for you to take steps at a time and build.
Yeah, I think you should build the rapport first and then ask them about their money.
Okay, I think, folks, because of changes in the lives of a salesperson, you've got to be more open to being flexible and read your clients. And if you've got a client that's staying there tapping their fingers and everything else, and they're tired of just all the details, then it's better to find an open door of some sort to start your conversation to make it easier. Do you agree with that?
Yes. Our job as a realtor is to get these people what they need. That's going to start with access to a house. If
and that's ultimately what we want.
Right. And the truth of the matter is, you can have a pre-qualified client. They still don't have to use you how does having a pre-approval protect you from wasting your gas?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you have to just figure out I'm not the only agent like that. I can name several agents in this office that I know specifically are not going to ask a bunch of questions. They are going to go show a property. And those agents are top producers. And I don't believe any of them consider it a waste of time going to get to know a person first. Now, for those agents that, I talk more with about them having a lack of a pipeline, is usually agents who have a lot of hangups about just going and meeting a person. It's an opportunity for you to, really put your sales skills to work. You have to sell a buyer just like you have to sell a seller. So that pre-approval letter isn't protecting you. So just go show the house,
Right.
and meet the person. The other thing is, I hear a lot of agents say they are afraid to list properties. So let me tell you what I saw. I was telling Larry, I looked at this thing about how wholesalers are able to, keep a pipeline. Before, it was all about, sending yellow letters. Those of you who know about wholesaling, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You send a yellow letter, you send a red handwritten note, you put out our buy houses signs, you do all those things. Now wholesalers are able to just call sources like a Zillow and just get leads to come to their phone. There are companies out here that are specifically targeting sellers of houses with internet banner ads. Get a cash offer on your home. Where do we think Zillow got that from?
Right.
So it would behoove us to start seeking those companies out and seeing what kind of deals we can make to get those calls to come to our phone.
So you think the biggest challenge that we have at this point is what now?
Is that the technology. We're going to have to learn how to adapt and do things different. We can't just, it's everything is being automated, even for investors. I mean, I know one of the top wholesalers here in Memphis. I know he closed 9 deals last week. And his number one thing is, I have a lead generation source like a Zillow. Of course, he's not going to tell me which source it is, but that's what he does. And he has people sitting that call these people back. They leave messages. I know that people respond to ads like that because when I was a wholesaler, I did it myself on a small scale. But now it's just much more robust, this technology that they use. And that nice young man that said here yesterday, who is fresh out of real estate school, he said the same thing, that he has friends that use this type of software where they don't have, so they are competing with us at a very high level. So when we go out to our listing appointments through whatever lead sources we have, we need to be able to explain to these people, show them a value, ask yourself the question, how can you beat out as a listing agent an all cash deal? And if it's a good house, I mean, most investors are going to give themselves between 12 or sometimes as little as 7 days to 30 days to close. So what can you do in that time frame? Most investors or most wholesalers, if they're doing it the way that, if they're doing it a truly old-fashioned way, they're putting a house, they're getting, control of the property from the seller, and then they're looking for a buyer. So a lot of them are still doing it that way. So they're doing the exact same thing that we're doing as a listing agent. How are you going to make sure that person, your seller, can sell their house in that amount of time? Those are the questions that we need to ask ourselves, and then we need to employ those things to. So I think you need to have a very definite, specific thing that you're going to do when you talk to a seller. I think you need to be able to track some way your success with that thing so that you can show. It's just like getting reviews.
So it's your sense that the people that are going in and taking control over properties, you've got to look for a better way to get into the deal.
Right. I think you have to, and I think we have to really speak about our value now. Honestly, commission would be the last thing I would talk about with the seller. I need to sell them on what specific things I can do to bring them a value. The one advantage we have over investors is that they're always trying to get a deal. They want the seller a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them don't want to buy market value. They'll try to get it low, get the property lower than market value so they can have some equity. We as realtors have, still such a unique situation because I have my own buyers that I'm working with, and then I have the buyers of all my colleagues. You know what I mean? We need to start leveraging that and saying that in to sellers so that they know we're not just going to put their house on the market in the MLS and it's just going to sit there. You need to explain where your buyer pool comes from to them because that's exactly what a wholesaler is doing.
Yeah.
He's telling them, I have a list of buyers. I have, if that's his field, each investor does things their own unique way. But, generally that's how it is. They go and put a contract on the property. They're in if you're a real estate agent, you have to disclose that, as a investor, wholesaler, whatever, you're supposed to disclose it, but we just have to be specific. One thing that I love is I love to look at Richard Scarborough's card because he specifically says you can get this, or this. It's cut and dry, and it gives you a picture. He gives you options, and people respond well when they have options. Would you prefer morning or night? There's something psychological about us as humans that makes us feel in control if somebody gives us an option. Now, did we come up with the options? No. But just being able to pick something, it empowers us. So we have to give these people a complete picture of what we do as agents and how that can benefit them.
And you think that complete picture is defined by agents opening up their thinking about it, how they get it, how they get a position, et cetera.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes. And I think, as agents, we need to be more receptive to what investors offer as well. Yes.
Folks, I'm telling you how critical this is. You need to have a better handle on things regarding this. And it's not always easy necessarily, but if you do your homework, you'll be able to be in front of the whole pack.
Yeah, you have to know exactly what they know, and then some. You have to know your markets. You have to be able to speak with confidence. You have to know the tools that are out there for you to use. And a lot of us do not leverage our agent colleagues. A lot of us do not do that. There were 3 open houses. I knew about 2. I just happened to find them on Facebook. 2 of our agents, well, 3 actually. 3 of them had open houses Sunday. I found out about 2 of them on Facebook, and I did my best to put those out there for other people that I'm connected to because I think that's what we should do. And then one open house I actually showed up to because I had no idea that it was going on. A loan officer who I just so happened to love invited me. So how crazy is that? I show up to my own colleague's open house and I was invited by someone else. We have to start communicating with each other really leveraging each other's resources so that we can sell our own listings, and that will help us to get more listings because people will see that we're able to get the job done.
And getting the listing or more listings, that's where the challenge is.
Yes, that's where the challenge is, but that's the sweet spot. Like if we could just have a little bit more focus on that, I think we can improve our own craft and help other agents do the same thing. I think we can rebuild confidence in sellers that we are not just out here trying to take over their profits. And we're doing a service to our community because we're helping to keep property values stable and keeping home ownership as, helping it to remain a viable investment.
Yes. I hope you're able to jot down some things on this, because it really, I think, becomes more important over time. And it does not seem, there's not been anything that I have run across, and Kay, maybe you have, that I don't think there's any anticipation that we're going to run into a big move of properties and things like that.
No. I think it's just a steady stream. I don't think we're gonna. I think given the conditions are very similar as far as with interest rates and stuff, from where the housing market crashed. But I do think that I don't think we're gonna see. At first, I was a little afraid, but I think it's leveling out now.
Yeah.
And I think we have truly a good opportunity. This is the time when everybody needs to become a phoenix. Like, it's time to be, who is the Phoenix universe? The Phoenix. We need to be that bird. We need to adjust in a positive way with all the changes. And a lot of these players in our industry are really embracing technology, and they are really moving fast. So we got to get out of the let me ask 100 questions.
And one of the biggest reflections of what is occurring are these people that are playing their game of flipping and everything else related to it. But
now that market is going to change some, I believe. Fannie Mae, I think it's Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac has come out with the new, rehab loan for traditional home buyers. So I think there's going to be some changes there that can help us as agents. We just need to know about them.
Yeah.
So that's a real big thing that they're going to, they're helping to ease the tightness in the market in a certain price range by offering those kinds of loans to traditional home buyers. And that's something I don't think I've ever seen as many different products now that can help with that. VA has a rehab loan. So we just need to know our products so that we can put our clients in the right place to buy.
And the way you can increase your knowledge is to read.
I'm telling you.
Because there's some of those things, you just need to be reading and staying up with it, because that's where all the changes are coming.
Right. With the money.
Yes.
And with how we compete. Technology. I think those are the two biggest things that are affecting us right now. And I have to say, this is very important for us as agents, whether you're a real estate agent, or a realtor. Realtors are held to a certain code of ethics. Real estate agents are not, but we are all held to the same responsibilities and how we treat our customers under the law. So when you have people sign documents, you better know what they're signing. You need to know. One of the things that we have one agent here that, is she's really good at knowing what line something is on in the contract. And I heard her, like, I don't know, maybe within the first year of my being here, I just heard her on the phone. I'm not going to say her name because I never told her this. But I was listening. I'm still new at trying to be a realtor. So I was just in the computer room and I heard her talking on the phone, and she was telling someone, this line says this and this line says that. And I thought, well, that's great that she knows that.
And that's talking about the contract.
Right, the contract. She knew where things was. And I don't know every single line on the contract, what it says, but I know a good bit of it. And
Yeah.
it has also served me. And I've always been secretly grateful to that agent that she was smart enough to even think of it. That's something you should be able to do, is tell your customer on the fly what they're reading and what line whatever says.
Right.
So it's little things like that that'll make you stand out to your client. When you give a listing, get a listing, don't just leave the listing in the MLS and never call your client. You call them and you tell them, hey, I had this many people interested, or I had 0 people interested. You keep them abreast of what's going on in their neighborhood. They shouldn't be coming to you saying Jim Bond's house up the street just sold. Why hasn't mine? I got that question one time. I didn't know what to say. I'm like, okay, so I'll never be in that situation again. I always tell them, you know, but that's something I had to get better with over time, you know, just working listings.
Sure.
To understand that you need to treat them the same way that you treat your buyer.
Yeah. I just, that to me is overwhelming. I mean, you just, there's a lot to do, a lot to know. And if you haven't done the learning process, you need to get the learning done as well.
Yeah.
So
your sellers are sitting at home freaking out. They love their house. It's the best thing ever built. It's the most beautiful house in the world. Nobody's house tops theirs. If it's a you know, if they're
Yep.
a seller that's tried to maintain their home. Now it could be just as dated as all get out, but to them it's clean. It's been, you know, there's not, you know, damage. So if their house hadn't sold in a week, they sitting around wondering, well, like, good Lord, when is my house coming?
Yeah.
Then the neighbor up the street's house sell, and then they really mad at you. So, you know, you be honest with the seller, and you keep them informed. Just like you call that buyer once a week, hey girl, let's go look at some houses. You do the same thing with your seller. This is what's going on in your neighborhood. I see the house behind you went up for sale. I'll even go and look at the house. You know, let me go see what this house has that my house doesn't have. And I report back, well, this house has this. So, you know, this is going to be a strong, you know, for if someone looks at that first and they come and look at this, yours is a little dated. You know, how can we make this look better? You know, that kind of stuff. And your sellers will appreciate it. I promise you, you will look like you are the smartest, most caring agent in all the world, and they will tell other people about you. But if you just list their property and throw it in the MLS and never try to do anything, then, you know, as the saying goes, you know, people feel like they get what they're paying for. So if you're charging them a lot, you better be giving them a lot.
That is true. Okay, anybody have a question? Comment? Well, I think this is certainly helpful to listen and keep some notes about it. We will send the YouTube for the, so you have you can listen to it separate of the other things, and help you to make better details about what you're doing. So if you don't have any questions, we'll call it and figure out what you can do and how you can do to make things work better for you as we go through this. Okay, so have a good week and make money.
Yes, sell, guys.
And have fun.
Yes.